In this screencast, we're gonna deploy a Node.js application from a BitBucket repository to Nodejitsu using the Codeship. I've got a simple Node.js application called Codefish, which contains some Jasmine specs. If you want to follow along these setup steps on your computer, just fork the repository. We're gonna deploy this application to Nodejitsu using the Codeship. Let's sign into the Codeship with BitBucket. The Codeship needs access to our BitBucket repositories to be able to set them up. Let's allow access. We're back at the Codeship. Now let's create our first project. The first step of our project setup is to select BitBucket as our repository provider. In the list of my BitBucket repositories, I search for my repo Codefish Node and select it. Now our repository is connected and we can set up our test commands. We select Node.js as our framework. This pre-populates the setup commands and the test commands for us. The Codeship suggests Node.js 0.10.18, but I want to use the same Node version as on my computer. When I type node v in the terminal, I find out that I use Node 0.10.15. So I just copy my Node version into the nvm install and nvm use statements. Additionally to my Node modules, I need to install Jasmine Node globally to be able to run my Jasmine specs. I don't need npm test for my Jasmine specs, so I comment it out. Instead, I want to run Jasmine Node spec. Now let's finish our setup and go to the dashboard. To start our first build, we need to add a push hook to our BitBucket repository. Let's copy the hook URL and follow the link to the service hook settings of our repository. We add a post hook, paste the hook URL, and save the hook. We can trigger a build for our application by pushing to our repository. Let's add the Codeship status image to the README file. Now let's commit and push this change. This triggered a new build on the Codeship. We can access the build details by clicking the arrow on the right. Here we can follow the running builds. By the way, if you ever need help, check out the Codeship documentation. If you encounter any problems, contact the Codeship crew by clicking on the support links in the top right or the bottom right corner. And a few seconds later, our build succeeded. Great! We see all the commands that were run. After a few initial preparation commands, the Codeship ran the commands that we specified a few moments ago. We can inspect the output of a single command by clicking on it. So we can see that 2 Jasmine specs were run. We've already pushed to our repository, watched our build log and got a green build, so we can finish this assistant. Now let's deploy our application to Nodejitsu. We go to our project settings by clicking on the settings icon in the projects dropdown. And then to the deployment section. We want to deploy to Nodejitsu. Now we need to enter our Nodejitsu username and token. I can already fill in my username Codeship Tutorials. To generate my Nodejitsu token, I run jitsu tokens create Codeship on the terminal. I copy the token and insert it into my Codeship deployment configuration. Now let's save our deployment configuration. From now on, the Codeship will deploy our application to Nodejitsu every time we push to our BitBucket repository. We still need to tell Nodejitsu which subdomain we want to deploy to and how to run our application. In our package.json file, we add subdomain codefish and a start script node start.js. This way Nodejitsu will know where to publish our app and how to launch it. I commit and push the change, and immediately another build starts running on the Codeship. Let's go back to our project overview. I will fast forward until the build is finished. After the commands we already know from our first build, our application also gets deployed to Nodejitsu now. And about 2 minutes later, our application is online. When we open codefish.nodejitsu.com now, our deployed application appears. If you need help with setting up your own application, please use the support link in the top right corner or tweet us at Codeship.